Hi, this is Jenna.
And this is Kelly.
You're listening to ODFM.
This episode is One Disaster from Murder. Excited for it this week.
All right.
Story, but
So you got a good story?
Yes, it's
I think
depressing.
I have a pretty decent story. Oh, a depressing one? Oh,
it
God.
is. It's a friend of mine from high school that was
all right.
murdered. Yes. So
A friend of yours from high school?
Yes, that was murdered.
Oh, how did I not ever know about this?
I guess I didn't realize it was probably a murder case until I read about it. I had kind of heard about it, but his mother is fighting to get it claimed as a murder case. And right now it's not.
All right. Well, let's start from the beginning, girl.
All right. So it's the case of Adam Lack. So he was in my class, 1993. Yes, I'm old.
Same class. Hi.
I know, right? Okay, we're old. So we lived in Buffalo, Wyoming, not Buffalo, New York. I hear it all the time. So my high school is small enough. We know everybody, basically. My class was like 83 people. Adam was a super smart, super sweet guy. I remember him as very kind, very quiet, studious type, big muscly guy, though, because he was a wrestler.
Okay.
Ended up being our valedictorian and getting a scholarship to Brown University. So, I mean, this isn't just...
Oh, my.
Yeah, he's not just smart. He's like mega smart.
He wasn't Buffalo, Wyoming smart. He was
He was
legit
like
smart.
Legit, full-on United States smart. Yes. So,
that's a different level.
It is. And let's see, after college, he graduated, he moved back to Iowa, where his family owned a farm, and he worked as an ethanol plant supervisor. So he wanted to be near his family. It's an unsolved death, but it can kind of seem like a conspiracy theory. So you can get judgment from it. But
okay. So
this is the story I found, and it's told really well. So I kind of had to read it from their point of view. So this is set on July 13th of 2008. That was the night.
Okay.
Yes.
Wait, what was the date? July
13th. So we're coming up on the anniversary of 2018.
So it's also just like a week before I got married.
Yes.
Because that was 2008. So
speaking of, today is my anniversary. Isn't that funny?
Oh, happy anniversary. This is how you're spending it.
Yes. I'm spending it with you.
Well, cheers.
Here.
I got my wine. Cheers.
And I've got my Huckleberry vodka drink.
Oh, nice. Mm-hmm. So how'd you spend your anniversary? I was in a soap room with some vodka.
Making a podcast with Jenna. Is there anything else you're supposed to do? I don't know.
Oh my God. What your anniversary is it?
17.
17, girl.
Possible. I know.
I don't know because we're not old enough for that. So
right. So I was totally 12. I don't know.
Yes, obviously. Okay. So this is almost 12 years ago then.
Okay, good.
Right?
You do math.
No, I didn't do the math. I know it's going to be my 12th anniversary that I cheated.
Oh.
I did not just do the math. Cheated. No.
2008.
2008. Okay. So July 2008.
Yes. So Veronica Lack, she's Adam's mom.
Okay.
She had put in a new leach field on that day. So they have this big farm. She puts in a new leach field, and she does it despite a broken and swollen leg. So these are tough people. They're not just anybody.
Do we know what those things mean? Because I don't know what any of that means.
A leach field is like a big field overflow for a septic tank. So like, you don't have a regular shitter. You got you get a septic tank if you're not on city system, you know?
Okay.
It's for overflow. Cool.
I'm so glad I asked the important question so we can clarify that.
Now you know.
So she did that even though there was something
she has a broken and swollen leg. So she lays down on her sofa, puts up her foot. She watches Late Night with David Letterman. She recognized the sound of Adam's pickup coming in and sitting down. He had just been promoted, so she was excited to talk to him because he'd been promoted to a supervisor position. She looks out the window to the driveway, and that's when she sees a man's figure running away from the house and then jumping into the passenger side of his Chevy Impala. And Adam hadn't fully pulled into the driveway, but she saw his pickup under the lights as he turned around and began chasing the Impala down the road. Apparently, they were used to being harassed and seeing silent vehicles, mostly Impala, stalking them from the driveway in the dark. And this isn't the first time Adam had chased them away. Twice before, they'd sneaked up to the house and cut Adam's brake lines. I know. During other occasions, they had inflicted thousands of dollars worth of damage on the Lack family's 3 vehicles. So they'd been trying to have something happen. But apparently, this is all because the Lacks, so they own that big piece of property. They had wanted to see the Clean Water Act and Iowa's 16 drainage laws enforced to stop their pollution plume that had caused the death of all their animals, severely damaged their health, and claimed too many of their neighbors' cancer-ridden lives. So this is almost sounding like something for Erin Brockovich type of thing.
Yes. Okay. Interesting.
So they were having all sorts of things happen on their land. Both Veronica and her husband, Gary, had endured years of different types of cancers, gone through rounds of chemo, radiation, only for another cancer to manifest. And they had to go to 4 more rounds of treatments at the Mayo Clinic.
Holy cow.
Several rounds of cancer. Their neighbors had all this cancer. All their animals were dying. Something was wrong there.
Something's not right. Yes. Yeah.
So Gary, her husband, had already outlived doctors' expectations, but the polluters weren't about to wait for him to die.
Gotcha.
All their children were grown and gone, so Adam and all his brothers and sisters, but they still needed Gary, the dad, out of the way so that they could only deal with Veronica, because they thought a woman would be easier to. Yes, because after all, everybody in Mitchell County in Iowa knew women running business and farms wouldn't do well. So let's see, they wouldn't.
Wow, I feel like that is a gross overgeneralization.
Yes.
And I would just.
It sounds like the type of place I could not live. It took 2 tries to get Gary Lack out of the way. But in January 2004, Gary Lack succumbed to poisoning by a haloperidol overdose in the hospital. So the nurse apparently purposely gave him this overdose. So that's almost a whole nother story.
Like conspiracy theory thing. Okay. Oh.
And she had stolen that medication from someone else to give him that overdose. So this is the dad.
Interesting.
So that's almost
and that's the dad
story. Yes.
Oh my gosh. Okay.
I know. It gets so deep. Like I could almost do 5 stories on this. But after the dad's death, after Gary's death, Veronica and her son Adam dressed him in his favorite Hawkeye sweats. He was a big Hawkeye fan. 2 young men arrived with plans to take Gary to the funeral home in Osage, where Gary's other family members could stop to say goodbye. And he was only 58, so he wasn't that old. Sometime after leaving their home and while en route to the funeral home, the 2 young funeral home employees received a call over the radio. A doctor from the Mercy Hospice, who'd never once met Gary Lack, dead or alive, called the mortuary with specific instructions to take his body immediately to Mason City for cremation. Yes. So they stole the body. Well, the 2 confused employees, they diverted the route, headed to Mason City. There was no coroner or medical examiner that had examined him after his death, let alone pronounced him dead or made any decision concerning the autopsy. Not one single doctor examined him after his death. And they made sure that no one had time to step in and ask questions, let alone leave the option of requesting an autopsy. And neither Veronica Lack or any of her children had signed any documents or given anyone permission to cremate him. Yet the cremation took place almost immediately without him ever being officially pronounced dead.
That's crazy.
I know. And she was, Veronica was given no advance notice of the cremation, never even allowed to request her husband's wedding ring before it burned along with his body. So she never even got his wedding ring back. Isn't that sad?
Yeah, that is suspicious. That is totally suspicious.
I know. And then 4 years later, Veronica watches her son Adam's pickup trail down the road after the latest Silent Night harassment, that car.
Because that's still happening even after this.
Yes.
4 years later, we're still dealing with these people in the driveway.
With these assholes. They'd gone through this far too many times, but she knew he'd be right back because this keeps happening.
Right.
So she fell asleep on the sofa waiting for him to return. The Impala led Adam to an unfamiliar area with an S-curve. Adam's truck, which showed no braking marks on the pavement, didn't make the second curve. The Impala sat parked in the middle of the roadway, and Adam took the ditch rather than hitting the other vehicle. He didn't want to hurt the other person. His pickup rolled. He was wearing a seatbelt and the airbag deployed. He survived the rollover impact, but his feet were pinned beneath the dashboard.
Oh my God.
He removed the keys from the ignition and waited for help. The first 911 call to report his accident came in just minutes before midnight, but no medical personnel arrived. But those who did respond to what they called a single vehicle accident were county officials and firemen against whom he had testified in court just a year earlier. I'm not sure exactly to what.
What?
Yeah, Adam had already testified against them. So maybe it says later on, I can't remember what my research said. 7 hours passed with no ambulance or other emergency medical services.
He was pinned there for 7 hours?
Yes. Non-life-threatening injuries, but he'd still be dead within a few hours. According to Veronica Lack, the death of her husband and Adam were related to a cover-up. It was to an ongoing pollution plume from Mitchell County's illegally planned drainage system designed to drain wetlands down sinkholes, whatever that means. But farm animals died on a regular basis. Rural homeowners kept getting sick and most died. And intimidation kept many folks, but not the Lacks, quiet about the stench, the sinkholes, and the illnesses. So people were being bullied. And the bullying methods keep being stepped up for the Lacks. Let's see, when Adam's truck was vandalized, as well as Veronica's Blazer, the things that had happened to him in the past were broken windshields, cut brake lines, numerous other damages. The Lacks had gone to the sheriff, whose name is Kurt Yonker, in case anyone wants to know. They filed charges related to vandalism, but he told them they couldn't do anything unless they provided a license plate number as proof to who vandalized their vehicles.
Well, this explains why he's constantly driving them, like following them off the property so he can get some.
So he's trying to get their
evidence.
Doing so proved nearly impossible as the offenders shrouded the plates. They used to put things over their plates so that no one would see them. So apparently Adam tried again and again to get the stalker's license plate numbers, but found, I hear your cat.
Dang it. I'm just letting him in. What the heck?
Yeah, let him in.
Good. Clyde. Aww. Okay, Clyde.
Okay, Clyde.
Do you think you can zip it for a while?
But so Adam, shortly before his death, he told his mother that the next time he found someone watching their home from the driveway, he's going to go after him. He was going to go after him and make sure he got the license plate number. So you're right. That's what he was doing. Hi, Clyde. So that night, neither he or his mom could read the Chevy Impala's plate. So, of course, he took the bait and ran after him. And 8 hours after his pickup rolled, Adam remained inside his vehicle and his ankles were still trapped beneath the dash.
That's insane.
There was no ambulance, no jaws of life to rescue him.
So he was sitting there, like he called, right? He obviously called 911.
Somebody called, yes. And
well, maybe he didn't.
Yeah.
This was 2008. No, people had cell phones.
He would have had it. He would have had it. So he could have called.
Oh, why didn't he call back? Right? That doesn't make sense. How come he didn't keep calling and saying, is someone coming or what? You know, he could have called his mom.
He could have.
I'm just curious.
So an interactive map showed just some of the average response times in this area. Most are about 10 minutes or longer, but none reached anywhere near 8 to 11 hours, which is how long it took for his response.
That's nuts.
Yes. And apparently something had been going on where they did not like him.
Yeah.
Sometime after 7 a.m., so he'd been laying there all night, July 13th of 2008, Ansgar fire and rescue personnel strung chains across the ditch to Adam's truck. And according to 26 timestamp photos taken at the crime scene, which, yes, you can see the photos online, and I will put them on our Facebook page, they began to repeatedly lift Adam's truck and then drop it back down on him.
What?
Yes. One of the first drops crushed his right arm. Another broke his femur, which is the bone between the hip and the knee. Hallis Graham continued to snap photos as the ongoing lifting and dropping mashed Adam's trapped ankles and then smashed his already dislocated left arm.
Oh, my God.
Yes. I know, Clyde.
Right, Clyde?
Clyde's like,
yeah, he is beside himself right now.
He is
absolutely beside himself.
Those present in the scene captured in the documented photos included Deputy Hintz, H-I-N-T-Z, Judge.
Okay.
Why is there a judge there? I don't know. Judge.
Why? Yeah, why is there a judge there?
Yeah, Judge Brian McKinley and the county coroner And my question is, why is the coroner present?
Yeah, why is the coroner there when they're still rescuing him?
And is that normal? I don't know.
I don't think so.
Yeah, nearly 10 hours after he found himself entrapped, the chain lifted and dropped his nearly crushed truck once again. This time, the drop immediately dislocated his neck at the vertebra, killing him instantly. Ugh.
Okay, I'm sorry, that's not an accident.
No.
It's just
like they're purposely dropping this truck over and over again. They never get the jaws of life. They never cut him out of there like normal people would do.
Right. Oh my gosh, that's crazy.
I know. It just makes me sick. So all these photos are being taken during it.
I'm so glad it was so well documented. Thanks, guys. Put down the camera and lend a hand.
Yeah, assholes. Like even in the pictures, you can see his arm punching into the ground as he's trying to hold himself there and dig himself a breathing hole. It's
oh my God.
Horrible. So he died approximately 7 hours after the accident occurred. 7 hours laying there. So his blood, according to the timestamp photos, like you can see the timestamp photos, it wasn't sprayed all over the cab of his truck at the very beginning, but it is within after them dropping.
Oh my God. Yeah. Oh my God.
I know.
That's just awful.
The images are what got me. Like the first responders are just standing around taking photos. So,
can they be considered first responders since they didn't respond at first? I mean,
they're standing around and you can see them standing around all talking to each other, taking photos while he's in his truck laying.
That's awful.
So in antemortem photos, which were taken approximately 8 hours after the Impala blocked the highway and Adam took the ditch rather than hitting the Impala, which he probably should have done instead.
Right. In hindsight. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right?
It shows his head well above the ground while still upside down. But then more photos show him attempting to dig an airway through the dirt as the drop and crush efforts continue. And
my God.
More photos show him lying upside down inside the pickup truck alone and unassisted, pushing a fist into the ground, like I had said, as several individuals chat near the vehicle's front end.
Oh my God. Why didn't anyone... Obviously, they're not being able to lift up the truck very well. So let's stop this, get the guy out.
Right. Why wouldn't you at least roll it to the side?
And this is not yet considered
a murder,
like a homicide or
because it's involving first responders, cops, judges.
That's insane.
Yeah,
that is insane. Some lightness. Okay. Clyde stopped meowing. He didn't even know what to say anymore.
He was just like, this is horrifying.
And then he left. Like he's like, I'm out.
Like I'm out. This is so.
You guys are bringing me down. I can't.
Oh, okay. So and then.
Oh my gosh. Okay.
I know. And then in the postmortem report with the X-rays, the photos, and the reports on file, they showed that C2-3 fracture, dislocations, and soft tissue swelling that occurred after his satisfactorily inflated lungs were still able to suck in and swallow dirt because he was sitting there in the ground. And let's see, the postmortem report filed by the pathologist and the official certificate of death filed by that freaking coroner that was on the scene the whole time.
How convenient that he was right there.
They stated that his death was immediate and they checked off the manner of death as an accident. I know. And in another ironic twist, Dr. Hagenman, that coroner, cites the hour of death on Adam's death certificate as 6:50 a.m., the time of death, directly contradicts doctor's own words about the approximate interval between onset and death as immediate, which obviously isn't because his accident was way earlier than that, particularly since the accident took place sometimes between 11:40 p.m. and 11:55 p.m. the previous evening. And the photo snapped by the state patrol officer the following day in broad daylight. Like if you look at him, broad daylight, they show him very much still alive. Oh, I know. So here's a little bit more background. Gary and Veronica Lack, they raised 6 children, most of whom went on to graduate with advanced degrees from Harvard, Brown, and University of Iowa. I mean, they have a really smart family. They fought hard against upstream polluters and contractors who routinely victimize and cause great harm to downstream farms like the one the Lacks owned. Still, they found themselves no match by the sheer number of those involved in the county's illegal drainage systems. It seems like many were involved. from reading
Yeah.
this. There was anhydrous ammonia, atrazine, and lead poured into the fields and their homes' drinking water, while they poured
God.
tens of thousands of dollars into chlorinating wells and plumbing systems for their home and animals. They paid vet bills and installation of a whole new house reverse osmosis filter system to try to keep themselves safe from the cancers.
Oh my God.
But the pigs on the family farm had started getting sick in the mid-90s, and by 98 had developed tremendous masses and tumors.
Ugh.
So they were worried about their safety for human consumption, and they still were unable to stop upstream polluters. So they quit raising pigs. And that same year, Gary, the father, had begun developing hormone-feeding tumors, which sound horrible in themselves.
Yeah.
He went to the Mayo Clinic, the tumors spread, and he was killed in 2004 after a hospice nurse overdosed him with that unsubscribed medication she'd stolen from a recently deceased patient under her care. Yeah, the investigation into her actions produced a 25-page list of citations. 5 more individuals died under her care before officials even completed their investigation. So something was wacky with her.
Something is not, yeah.
Yeah, and in 2005, Veronica had placed a call to the Iowa Department of Natural Resources asking them to test surface water flowing into the family farm from the west. The grass in the national wetland was burned out by rotten, decomposing cattle flesh and bones that got into the Lack family's aquifer via the sinkhole. So, like, who would drink that water?
Oh my God.
I know. So she said the DNR agent, the Department of Natural Resources agent, came out. His name was Dale Adams. Put that out there. He came out to the Lack farm, got his sample jars, walked down to the national wetland on their property. Upon seeing the cattle hair and smelling the water flowing in, Adams told her, "You don't want to take this test. You will get your neighbors in trouble."
What?
Yeah. So something's going on. So Veronica, So Veronica insisted she wanted the test done. She needed to stay in compliance with EPA regulations. So she did the tests on her own, took the samples, and sent them off to the University of Iowa Hygienic Lab, who provided detailed instructions. Test results came back marked urgent, that they had high levels of E. coli, membrane fecal coliform bacteria, which sounds disgusting. I don't know what.
Oh, yeah, it does.
And
none of it sounds safe.
No, and total analyte lead of 36 times the quantitation limit. So obviously it's not good. More and more animals kept dying while families kept getting sicker. And Veronica keeps trying to fight against all this. She named all of the local landowners in a document to Iowa media outlets and boldly documented.
That seems smart.
Yes. And she boldly documented the facts surrounding her son's torture and eventual death. And there was an expose about how the runoff from Iowa farms was becoming a growing concern in the Gulf of Mexico. Like, it was literally running all the way down.
Oh my God.
I know. And Iowa is one of the 9 states that combine to deliver over 75% of all nitrogen and phosphorus to the Gulf's dead zone, making it and Illinois. Hello, Illinois.
Oh, sorry. My bad.
The country's 2 largest polluters. So
on behalf of Illinois, I'd like to say I'm sorry. I'd like to apologize.
I know. So I think, I don't know. You can get what you can from it, but I think Adam's death sounds like not a conspiracy theory, but actually something that.
Yeah, I wouldn't classify it as an accident.
No,
it
does not sound accidental. And
no.
I'll put the pictures up on our Facebook page after we run our
please
run the podcast so that everybody can see what I'm talking about when you can see his fist in the ground. And and I'll put pictures of me and him from high school and other people. I know. It just makes
How crazy is that for you to imagine, for you to picture like this person that you knew?
I know. It's bizarre. And he was like the sweetest, so kind, I don't know, quiet, tough guy that you just wanted as your friend, you know?
Right. Oh my gosh.
Horrifying to think of the torture he had to go through.
And I mean, when you started the story, I thought this was going to be like the torture of whoever these people were who've been harassing them.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't expect the torture to be coming from the first responders and the the coroner and the judge and all the people that are there just, and even if they weren't the ones doing it, if you're standing there, you're
part of it.
Yes.
You're letting it happen. Like, I don't think, no matter how much I hated a person, I could not stand there and watch them be crushed to death.
Oh my God, no.
Like, I don't care who it is. I don't care.
And there were a lot of people standing there that had to like make a conscious decision not to do something. Yes.
And promised their whole future on this livelihood that they said they were going to protect and serve. And they did not. And it's disturbed me for so many years, but I figured, hey,
I bet
I'll help put the word out as much as I can.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, I know. So that's heavy.
That is heavy. I need another drink.
I know. Take a I know. Poor Adam. For you, Adam. We're taking a drink for you.
To Adam. Yes.
Mm-hmm. All right.
My sources for this episode on Adam Lack are from iowacoldcases.org by Jody Ewing and Reddit.
Thanks for listening to another episode of ODFM, hosted by Kelly DeVries and Jenna Swanson. Production and editing by Kelly DeVries. Theme music by Eric Swanson. ODFM is a satirical true crime podcast for entertainment purposes only. The stories you hear are serious and true. The comments and opinions are not. We apologize if any of our content is harmful or disrespectful. This podcast was created using Anchor. If you have a story you'd like to submit for a future episode, please email it to odfmpodcast@gmail.com. Visit us on Facebook and Instagram at ODFM Podcast. And check out our website, odfmpodcast.com, for more information on our episodes, your hosts, or general shenanigans.